So let's talk about one of the biggest decisions you make on the golf course, one that could be costing you a ton of strokes. We're always told to be aggressive, right? Go after the flag! But what if I told you that very advice is exactly what's keeping your handicap high?
All right, let's put you right on the course. Picture this. You just smoked a drive. It's sitting pretty in the fairway. You've got 150 yards to the flag. You're feeling good. But you look up and see the pin is tucked just over a deep, nasty bunker. Your gut, your ego, everything is screaming, go for it. But is that really the right play?
Look, we all feel that temptation, that urge to hit the perfect, high, floating shot that lands stiff to the pin. It's the shot we see the pros hit on Sunday. But the hard truth, backed by a mountain of data, is that for almost all of us, that hero shot is a fantasy, and chasing it is actively wrecking your scorecard.
So let's start by tearing down this idea, this aggression myth, the belief that you have to take big risks to get big rewards.
I mean, it makes sense on the surface, doesn't it? Fortune favors the bold. But in golf, the data tells a totally different story. Better scores don't come from just blindly firing at every pin. They come from being smart, from being selective with your aggression. It's all about knowing when to attack and, more importantly, when to play it safe.
So if raw aggression isn't the answer, what is? Well, it's about understanding something way more important than that one perfect shot you can hit. It's about understanding your real shot pattern. This concept right here is the absolute key: shot dispersion. You see, golf isn't like darts where you're aiming for one tiny point. It's more like a shotgun blast. Your shot dispersion is the entire circle where all your shots land, the great ones, the okay ones, and the ones you'd rather forget. You have to plan for that whole pattern, not just the bullseye.
And check this out. This is where the reality really hits home. A tour pro, the best ball strikers on the planet, have a dispersion of about 7 to 9 meters with an iron. Now look at the amateur number. It's not just a little bigger. We're talking 15, 20, even 25 meters. That is a massive, massive difference.
Let's just park on that number for a second. 25 meters. That's more than 80 feet. Just try to picture a circle on the ground that's 80 feet wide. For a lot of us, that's our actual target area, whether we admit it or not. It is probably way, way bigger than you think. So here's why that matters so much. When you ignore that giant pattern, the course just eats you for lunch. That pin tucked behind the bunker, it's not a target, it's a trap, specifically designed to catch the edges of your dispersion. It means even a shot that feels pretty good can wind up in a bunker, leaving you with an impossible recovery shot. Now, this doesn't mean you never go for the pin. Of course not. But the pros are so incredibly smart about it. They know their dispersion down to the yard. So let's look at the numbers and see when it actually makes sense for them, and for us, to get aggressive.
This chart is fantastic. It basically shows you your scoring window. And just look at this. A tour pro only really starts hunting pins from inside 70 yards. For someone who shoots in the 90s, that attack zone shrinks to about 80 yards. And if you're a 100 shooter, your dispersion is so wide that even from 50 yards out, aiming for the center is almost always the better play.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple, and honestly, a little painful. Most of us are trying to play a game our skill set just can't support. We're firing at flags from 150 yards out when the best players in the world would be safely playing in the middle of the green. Okay, enough of the why. Let's get super practical with the how. We're going to go back to that first scenario, 150 yards out, pin tucked behind the sand. Let's break down the two choices you have. So first up, the hero shot. You aim right at the flag. The actual area you have to land the ball in is tiny. You have to make a perfect, pressure-packed swing. Any small miss, a little push, a little pull, and you're in that bunker, short-sighted and looking bogey or worse, square in the face. We've all been there, right? Now, let's flip it. The smart play. You aim for the fattest part of the green. All of a sudden, that 25-meter dispersion pattern is your best friend. Even your miss is probably on the putting surface. You can take a relaxed, confident swing knowing that the worst-case scenario is a long putt. The result? A stress-free, tap-in par.
And I need to make this point really clear. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, that's playing scared. That's defensive golf. No, no, no. It is the exact opposite. It takes real confidence and discipline to ignore that sucker pin and play the high percentage shot. This is the mark of a truly smart golfer.
All right, let's tie this all together. I'm going to give you a new game plan, a simple set of rules you can take with you to the course tomorrow and start saving strokes right away. It really just boils down to these 5 ideas. First, always play for your real pattern, not that 1 in a million perfect shot. The farther you are from the hole, the more you should love the center of the green. Be suspicious of those corner pins. They are traps. Figure out your own scoring window and only go for it when you're inside it. Do this, and you will without a doubt save at least 2 strokes around, maybe more.
And if you forget everything else from this, please remember this one thing. Good scores, consistent scores, they don't come from those wild, spectacular hero shots. They come from boring, smart, repeatable golf.
And you know what the best part is? You don't have to go grind on the driving range for 6 months to do this. You don't need a new swing. You just need a new strategy. This is a thinking game fix, and you can literally put it into play on your very next shot.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time you're out there and your ego is telling you to take on a crazy pin, what are you going to do? How many strokes are you finally ready to save just by thinking a little bit differently and aiming a little bit smarter?